Go ahead and let your shoulders relax. Maybe move a little bit side to side. And before we get started, just take a moment to become acquainted with your surroundings. So maybe you take a moment to look to the right and to the left, noticing the colors and the shapes and the textures. Maybe look up and down as well, and behind you and in front of you. And perhaps you are somewhere that is familiar. Perhaps you're somewhere that it's new, but just become aware of where you are, indoors or outdoors. And then once you feel present, just start to let yourself soften the gaze down toward the earth, or maybe you close your eyes. And in the same way that you looked around you with your gaze, now let yourself listen to whatever is going on in your surroundings. Let yourself become aware of any noises or sounds that are far away from you. Perhaps in a different room or outside. Sounds of people, sounds of nature, sounds of machinery, whatever it is. Let yourself pick up on the different things going on around you, without having to necessarily know where those sounds are coming from. But just aware of the world just as it is. Inhale through your nose. Open your mouth and let go. Inhale again through your nose, letting your belly, your rib cage, your chest expand. And let go. Inhale. Expand front to back, side to side, top to bottom. Perhaps hold at the top for a moment if it feels supportive for you. Letting yourself feel the plenitude of being here and now. And once you want to or feel like it, slowly release the air all the way out. Notice any tension that you can soften as you exhale more and more and more. Inhale. This time as you exhale, feel free to make a little bit or maybe a lot of sound. And start to draw your attention a little bit more toward your physical body. Maybe you become aware of the way in which you're seated, the support beneath you, the space around you. The gentle weight of the clothes you're wearing. Can you start to become fully aware of your physical body? And yes, that may mean that you become aware of parts of your body that feel tight or uncomfortable. But can you also notice the spaces that are relaxed and open and pleasant? Can you recognize that as you start this new year, you may find harmony and equilibrium? Take a deep breath in through your nose. Fill up your entire body as much as feels good. Maybe deepest breath you've taken all day. Open your mouth and let it all go. Now just take a moment to bring yourself back to the last year, which in truth was yesterday. And just let yourself consider maybe 1, 2, or 3 things that really brought you joy. And they don't have to be really big things. They can be tiny moments, small scenes of daily life that brought a smile to your face, that expanded what gratitude means to you. And let that gratitude, that joy, fill you. Expand into every cell of your body. Recognizing that yes, you did go through hardship. You did move through discomfort. You grieved, you cried, you moved through pain. But you also found joy weaved right through the middle of it all. So take a deep inhalation through your nose. Expand. Let it go. Let your entire body soften, even if it's just 1% more. Inhale, fill up your entire body. Letting the abundance of this new year start to penetrate into your being, into your energy. Exhale, letting it all go. Start to gently move your fingers. And if you want to, start to rub the palms of your hands, creating warmth and friction. And then bring both hands over your eyes, over your face. Taking a moment to feel the warmth and maybe the vibration of energy. Maybe imagining this moment as a fresh start. No matter what's happened before, no matter what's coming after, can you be content right here, right now as you are? Breathe in. Breathe out. Start to gently open your eyes inside of your hands. Separate the fingers. And then slowly release your hands down, down, down. And let yourself do absolutely nothing for a moment. See if you can avoid fixing your hair or shifting your seat. See if you can just let the world come to you as you just observe the things around you just for what they are. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now see if you can start to lean back a little bit. If you're lying down, stay lying down. But maybe bring your feet to the floor as wide as you want to make space for your abdomen. And then bring your arms around the legs. Relax your head down and give yourself a hug here. Perhaps you let yourself sway a little side to side. And just recognize that with compassion, with love toward yourself, it becomes a little bit easier to set intentions for the year and move through them, knowing that you can start not just on January 1st, but at every moment that you want to and that you choose to. Breathe in and breathe out. Now start to lift your head back up. And if you have your notebook or your paper or your pen, go ahead and grab them. And I have a couple of journaling prompts for you. I can go ahead and read them first, and then I'll go ahead and write them on the chat if I can while you guys are writing there. Here are some of the journaling prompts. So just take a moment to find your pen and your paper. And again, you can take this as just a quick exercise that maybe then you expand. Or if you want to, you can leave it as is. You can just use it now and then let it go, right? Just whatever you want, but just taking some time to sometimes write a little bit of what some of these concepts mean to us can really clarify your intentions. So once you have your pen and paper ready, again, you can write all three, you can work with just one, you can do something completely different, right? You can just free flow for a few minutes, just whatever you rather do. But here's the first journaling prompt for you. What does a fresh start mean to me? Simple as that. What does a fresh start mean to me? What does a fresh start mean to me? The second journaling prompt, imagine your ideal morning and imagine it as a type of morning that signifies a new beginning. So if you could have the first morning perfectly as it might be, imagine it, write it down. And the last one is describe a situation in your life where you could use a fresh start. And maybe you write a few of the first steps that you can take to make that a reality. So go ahead and grab your pen and paper. Again, first one, what does a fresh start mean to me? Imagine your ideal morning that signifies a new beginning. Or describe a situation in your life where you want a fresh start. So I'll just give you a few moments to write. And I want you to make sure that you keep a good posture as you write and that you stay connected to your breath just in the same way that you did in your meditation. So inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose or your mouth. Noticing the contact of the pen with the paper. Allowing the letters to flow, the words to flow. Letting yourself feel whatever's there to be felt. What does a fresh start mean to me? What does an ideal morning look like for me? I will repeat, yes. So the first one, what does a fresh start mean to me? The second one, imagine your ideal morning that signifies a new beginning. And the third one is describe a situation in your life where you want a fresh start. And again, maybe you start to write this and you realize that what you rather write is something else, right? Or maybe you do a combination of two of them or three of them. But notice, how am I breathing? How true are the words that I'm choosing to put on the paper? Am I censoring myself? Again, consider that it is in the way that you choose to communicate with yourself through journaling that you can also know where perhaps you're creating barriers for yourself, right? Where you're censoring your true self, where you're saying, no, I'm not going to write this down. I don't want this to be on paper, to actually come out of me and for the world to see, right? What is important enough to make it on the page? Take a deep breath in and out. Start to wrap up whatever thoughts you're writing. And again, remember that you can come back to this anytime you want to. What does a fresh start mean to me? What would an ideal morning of a new, fresh beginning look like? Where could you use a fresh start right now, and how are you planning on taking the first steps toward that? Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Let yourself finish up the last thoughts, the last words. If you've already finished, you can take this moment to maybe put your journal away, maybe to take a sip of water before we start the physical practice. Just take a moment to notice what you need right now. Again, no need to move quickly into the year, right? We can move slowly. So once you've finished with your journaling, start to bring yourself back toward your yoga mat. Start to find your comfortable seated position once again. If you've been sitting the same way for a while, maybe take a moment to stretch your legs, shake them out, move around. And I'm still wearing my socks because it's a little bit cool where I am, at least for me. But remember that once we do any standing postures, it might be best for you to not have socks on, but just practice however feels comfortable for you. So come to your seated position once you're ready. Rest your hands on your lap or your knees, relax your shoulders, and just take a moment here to move your neck side to side. And maybe close and open your hands. And if you feel a little bit sluggish, consider alternating how you move your hands. So maybe you stop the movement of the head and then you start to close and open your hands, but alternating. And let yourself become present. Inhale. And exhale. Stop the movement. Inhale, lift your shoulders up toward your ears. And as you exhale, roll them back and down and away from your ears, letting your neck lengthen, your spine lengthen, your sit bones ground a bit more. Feel free to stay here, or perhaps take one hand to your abdomen and the other hand to your chest, your heart. And you can soften your gaze or close your eyes. As you take a moment to consider once again whatever question you asked yourself in the journaling. What is a fresh start to you? What does a new beginning look like? Where could I use a fresh start in my life right now? Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. Release your hands back down. Let your shoulders relax away from the ears. And on your inhalation, take your arms out and up overhead. Unite your palms. And as you exhale, draw your hands together in front of your heart center. Inhale, take your arms out to the sides, lift your chest a little bit, find expansion. Your elbows can stay bent or extended. It's whatever lets your shoulders remain softer and more relaxed. And then as you exhale, take both arms forward and round your back a little as you gaze down toward your navel. Now bring your palms to touch. Keep your arms extended. Inhale, take your arms straight up overhead. Your elbows can absolutely be bent here. Exhale, draw your hands in front of your heart again. Open your arms wide, lift your chest, breathe in. Breathe out, take your arms forward and round your back as you maybe look down. One more like that. Inhale, arms straight up, palms can stay together. Exhale, hands in front of your heart. Inhale, open your arms out, lift your chest. Exhale, take your arms forward and round. Take your arms straight up, inhale. Exhale, draw your palms together in front of your heart, soften your gaze or close your eyes, and just take a moment to notice here how you feel. And considering the significance that the new year has for you. Not whatever someone else told you that it has to mean, not whatever you have believed it to mean for a long time. Truly, what does the new year mean to you? Knowing that you are looking for a fresh start. Can you let this be a moment where you set an intention? And it can be a seed of intention that you plant just for this practice. Or maybe you choose to set an intention that perhaps can grow into your week, your month, your year. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. Bring your hands behind your hips. Perhaps you have to walk them a little further back so your hands find the floor. Press through your palms. Lift your chest. Take a deep breath in. And you can stay here. Maybe you press through your shins and you lift your hips off the floor, opening through the front of the body a little bit more. And then on your exhalation, slowly lower your hips back down if you lifted them and bring yourself back to a seated position. Move your feet out of the way. So if you were cross-legged, place your feet in front of you. And then take a moment here to move your knees a little bit side to side, bringing some mobility to the legs after being in the same position for a while. One more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Start to bring yourself back to a seat. Maybe if you had one shin crossed in front of the other, now you cross the other one, if you remember which one that was. On your inhalation, take your arms all the way up. And as you exhale, take your left hand toward your right knee and your right hand behind you. Inhale back through center, reach your arms up. Exhale, take the twist to the other side. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale through center. And exhale, twist to the left. Back through center. Inhale, reach both arms up. And on your exhalation, bring your hands in front of you. And then you can roll forward toward your tabletop, or you could take your legs toward one side and then start to bring yourself to tabletop. This is a great place if your knees are sensitive to grab your blanket and fold it in a way that will give you a little bit more comfort on the knees. And then if perhaps your wrists are sensitive, you can make fists with your hands instead. So a couple of options here as you find a steady tabletop. Now consider what movement would serve you here. Maybe for you, moving side to side would feel good. Maybe you'd rather take circles with your hips around your knees. Maybe you'd rather do a little bit of both, right? Or maybe there's some other movement that serves you. But either way, let yourself connect to your breath first. And let everything else be secondary. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. One more inhale. And exhale. Slow down the movement here. Now, perhaps you separate your knees a little bit wider and you separate your hands a little bit wider so you have a steadier base. Bring your right hand toward your right hip. And on your inhalation, draw your right shoulder open and look up to the right. And on your exhalation, lower your right hand down, bring your gaze back down to the floor. Shift your weight toward your right hand, bring your left hand to your hip, and as you inhale, draw your left shoulder open, look to the left. And as you exhale, slowly bring yourself back through the center and back down. Now you could do the same, or as you inhale, right hand lifts straight up as you open to the right. Exhale, right hand comes down. Inhale, take your left up, open to the left. Exhale, come back to your tabletop. Move your hips side to side. Move your neck side to side. Breathe in. And breathe out. Stop the movement back at the center. Now tuck your toes under and start to shift your hips back toward your heels. There might be a place where you're like, that's enough, I'm gonna stay there. Yeah, so that's where you should stay. And notice that maybe once you're here, if there's too much pressure, you shift away from the stretch again until it feels that you can actually breathe, right? Or if you wanted to, you could bring your hands to your thighs and start to lift your chest up. But make sure that your toes are tucked under. The intention here is to stretch through the soles of the feet. Couple more breaths. If you find yourself in discomfort, notice your capacity for being in discomfort. And once that capacity is gone, come out of the pose. Breathe in. And on your next exhalation, bring yourself back down. Lift your toes, roll your ankles in circles one way and the other to release the extra sensation. Now bring the tops of your feet back to the floor. And you can absolutely keep your blanket underneath. I'm just going to move it because for me it's adding a little bit too much height. But again, just do what works for your body today. And on your next inhalation, reach your right leg behind you. You could keep your toes on the ground or let them float and engage your core a bit more. Exhale, draw your right knee toward your chest, and you can let your toes drag on the ground or you can keep them lifted. Again, depends on how much you want to use your core. And eventually bring your right foot between your hands. If it doesn't get there on its own, you could grab your ankle with your right hand and give it a little bit of help to get slightly more forward. So your right knee and ankle are somewhat aligned with one another. And then perhaps your hands stay on the floor, or you could bring them to your blocks, or you can also rest them on your right thigh. It's whatever feels best for you. Let your shoulders relax and your gaze go a little bit more forward, and breathe here. Just notice the stability of the legs. And stay connected to your breath. Perhaps on your next inhalation, you let your arms float up. And on your next exhalation, let them become a nice big circle out to the sides and all the way down, 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 until you bring your hands back down to your thigh, your blocks, or the floor. Allow your fingertips to find a surface once again, whether that's the blocks or the floor is up to you. And on your inhalation, start to sweep your right leg behind you again. And on your exhalation, lower your right knee next to the left. Maybe you move your hips side to side. Maybe you move your neck a little. Breathe in. And breathe out. This time, send your left leg behind you. Your toes can stay on the ground, or maybe they float. Notice how it feels. Inhale. Exhale, draw your left knee toward your chest. Give yourself time to step your left foot between your hands. And again, maybe your hands stay framing your foot on the floor, on your blocks, or on your left thigh. Press down through your left foot. Draw your left hip back and your right hip slightly forwards. And breathe. Notice what you notice when you're here. Maybe on your next breath, you inhale and sweep both arms forward and up, keeping the stability of the lower body. And on your exhalation, circle your hands down to the sides, creating a big circle. Frame your left foot once again. Now this time, tuck your right toes under. Inhale, lift your right knee off the floor. And on your exhalation, maybe you take one big step forward, or you perhaps take several. Bring your feet parallel to one another. Your blocks could be right in front of your feet, and your hands can be on the ground on your blocks, or maybe on your shins or your thighs. And as you inhale, find a little bit more length, so lift your chest halfway. And on your exhalation, let your knees soften as you melt your upper body over your thighs and let your head hang heavy. Inhale again, slide your hands up the shins toward your thighs, lengthen your spine as little or as much as feels good. And on your exhalation, fold and relax all the way down. One more time, inhale, flat back, lengthen. Exhale to fold. Rise all the way up, stretch your arms out to the sides and overhead. Breathe in, unite your palms overhead. And on your exhalation, draw your hands in front of your heart and release your arms next to your body. Maybe here, take a moment to let yourself sway a little forward and back. Maybe you'd rather let yourself sway a little side to side, right? Just notice what feels good. And maybe you just take a moment to be slightly playful by coming up to your tippy toes and noticing what your balance is like today. Again, consider that the new year could be not only about setting goals of being better and improving and becoming all these things, but it could also be about how much fun can you have this year? How much can you travel? How many friends can you visit, right? I don't know. How many games can you play? Inhale, reach both arms all the way up. Press your hips gently forward. Exhale, soften your knees as you draw your hands to the midline. Fold forward and rest your hands on your legs, your blocks, the floor. Relax your head down. Inhale, lift your chest halfway, flattening the spine. Now frame your right foot with your blocks or with the hands by taking them to the floor, and step your left foot all the way back. Here's where if you have socks, you may start to get slippery. So I'm going to take a moment to take my socks off because that works for me better. But you do what works for you, right? And then step your left foot back. Perhaps you lower your left knee, perhaps you don't. It's absolutely up to you. You can stay with your hands supported, or on your inhalation, sweep your arms all the way up. And on your exhalation, frame your right foot with both hands. Take your back knee to the floor if it's not already there. And then take your right leg to meet your left. So you're on hands and knees, but shifting your weight a little more forward. So you're on a knee plank. Inhale. Exhale, let yourself lower down as slowly as you possibly can. Keep your hands underneath your shoulders, point your toes back. Inhale, lift your chest just a little for a cobra pose, engaging your back body. Exhale, lower back down. 2 more times. Inhale, press up. Engage your back body. Open up through the front. Exhale to lower. 1 more. Inhale. Exhale, this time send your hips back. You can stay in tabletop, or again, you can tuck your toes back, send your hips back toward the heels and stay here. Or you could lift your knees off the floor and make your way to downward dog. One posture is not better than the other, so choose what works for you, yeah? Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 more, inhale. And exhale. Now find yourself in the tabletop position or in downward dog. Send your right leg back, breathe in. Turn your toes to the right, bend your knee, and then take a couple of circles with your right knee. So again, you can do this from 3-legged dog or 3-legged table. Take a couple of circles one way and a couple of circles the other. Inhale and exhale. Send your right leg behind you. Inhale. Exhale, bring your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Now, your left knee can absolutely stay lifted if you wanted to, but you can also lower it down. And then consider here using your blocks underneath your hands. May give you more space to find a good stretch here. Maybe you'd rather turn your right toes a little to the right, and then from there draw your right hand onto your inner thigh and twist a little bit toward the right. Breathe wherever you choose to be. 1 more inhale. Exhale, bring your hand down to the floor. Keep your right toes slightly turned out, and if your left knee is down, lift it up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Left foot steps all the way to the top of the mat on the outside of your hand. All 10 toes are slightly turned out, and then you can lower your hips halfway. You could go a little bit lower into yogi squat. It's up to you. But wherever you are, breathe. 1 more inhale. Exhale, hands to your blocks or the floor. Turn your toes in and your heels out. Stretch your legs a little and relax your head. Inhale, lift your chest halfway. And then slowly heel to your feet until they're parallel to one another once again. Press through your feet. Inhale, rise. Take your arms all the way up. Exhale, release your arms next to your body again. Maybe you shift back and forth. Maybe you let your eyes close. But just consider, how can you give yourself permission right now to just breathe deeply and start again, just as you are, with all your light, with all your knowledge, but also with all your flaws. 1 more breath, inhale, and exhale. Reach your arms up, breathe in. Breathe out, start to fold forward, taking your hands to whatever support you choose. This time, frame your left foot. Inhale. Exhale, take your right foot back. Again, you can choose to lower your knee, or you can choose to keep it off the floor. And then eventually, you lift your arms up if you want to. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more breath. Inhale. And on your exhalation, frame your left foot. Lower your right knee. Then take your left leg next to your right. Shift your weight forward as you inhale. And on your exhalation, slowly lower yourself down. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, take your hips back, maybe for your tabletop. Maybe you bring yourself to downward dog. Maybe you take a moment here in child's pose and move your hips side to side. Just consider what works for you right now. And breathe. 1 more inhale. And exhale. Find your tabletop or your downward dog. And in your inhalation, send your left leg up. Turn your toes a little to the left, bend your knee, and take a couple of circles with your left hip, one way, and then the other. Extend your left leg up, inhale. Exhale, left foot to the outside of your left hand. Right knee can lower down or not, it's up to you. Turn your toes a little to the left if you want to. Maybe your left hand to your inner thigh for a twist. Breathe and notice, where can you soften? Where can you be a little bit more present? One more breath here, inhale. And on your exhalation, lower your left hand down to the inside of the foot. If your left toes are not already turned down to the left, do so now. Lift your right knee off the floor, breathe in. And as you breathe out, right foot to the outside of the right hand, toes out, heels in. Lower your hips. Maybe you grab one of your blocks and you sit on it to give you a little bit more space to lift your chest and breathe in this pose. But again, just notice, is there any tension you're holding on to? That maybe you're just holding on to because you're used to holding on to it, right? Can you soften it a bit? Can you give yourself permission to make space, even if you're not sure for what? Breathe in. Breathe out. One more breath, inhale. And on your exhalation, lower your hands to the floor, toes out, or toes in rather, heels out. Let yourself fold. Lift your chest up as you breathe in. And then heel to your feet, or you could also hop your feet until they're together. And then rise up. Inhale, reach your arms. And on your exhale, release your arms next to your body. Roll your shoulders up, inhale. Exhale, roll them back and down. Do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. One more, breathe in. Breathe out. Bring one hand to your abdomen, one hand to your heart if it serves you once again. Maybe you soften your gaze, maybe you close your eyes. Let yourself notice your heartbeat, the cadence of your breath, the space that your physical body takes up, the way in which your energy is flowing. And perhaps you just take a moment to say thank you, thank you, thank you for another moment, for another day, for another Monday, for another fresh start, for another year. Take a deep breath in. Let go. Release your arms. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, this time plant both hands onto the earth. Step your feet back. You could lower your knees or keep them lifted. Breathe in. Breathe out, lower knees, chest and chin, or maybe you choose to take a chaturanga. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, down dog, or if you rather, big toes to touch. Hips back for child's pose. You could bring your forehead to your arms. You could extend your arms forward, whatever works for you. Give yourself a moment to notice, to remind yourself to move slowly and purposefully in this new year. There's no rush. There's no finish line. There's just every moment, every breath of intention. One more inhale and exhale. Start to lift yourself back up. Or if you're in down dog, bring yourself down to tabletop. And on your inhalation, send your right leg behind you. And then bring your right knee to your right elbow, or wrist rather, and move your shin a little bit to the left so your leg is diagonal. Now from here, you can absolutely extend your left leg back for pigeon if you have the space for that and that's what feels good. Or you could bring your right hip to the floor and then your left knee is on the side, yeah? Now from there, you can stay here if this feels good, or if you wanted to, you could use your blocks in front of you and perhaps your elbows lower down to your blocks here, but see if you can keep your spine long instead of rounding back. right? So if you can lift your chest a little forward, whether your knee is on the side for pigeon or your left leg is behind you, or rather, if your knee is on the side for deer or your leg is behind you for pigeon. Just breathe and notice again, is there any tension you're holding on to that perhaps can be softened or released? Just because as you want to move into a new year, into a fresh start, it is important to let some things go that have been taking up space. Lately I've been saying to myself, I can do everything but not all at once, right? So perhaps I can also have everything, just not all at once. One more breath, inhale. And exhale. Bring yourself up. If your left leg is behind you, start to lean toward your right hip, and either way, bring your left leg around. Extend your left leg in front and frame your left leg. Inhale, reach both arms up. And on your exhalation, reach forward, 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 forward. Again, inhale, rise back up. Find length from the sit bones all the way through the fingertips. Exhale, reach forward, 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 as if you were reaching past your toes. One more, inhale. And exhale, this time allow your elbows to rest on your blocks or on the sides of the leg and relax your head. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more inhale. And exhale. Inhale, lift your chest up. Ground through your sit bones and bring your left heel closer. You could keep your heel on the floor. You could also bring your left heel on top of a block. And perhaps you catch under your left leg and extend your left leg a little. You could also catch under your calf, or perhaps you grab your foot and extend through the leg. Let your shoulders relax and your gaze lift a little. Breathe. One more breath, inhale. And on your exhale, lower your leg back down. You can cross your legs and roll forward. Or if you rather, you can take your legs to the side and go forward into your tabletop or your downward dog. Take a deep breath in. Inside out. From tabletop or downward dog, inhale, this time take your left leg up. Exhale, take your left knee toward your left wrist. Move your shin diagonally in front. And then extend your right leg all the way back, finding your pigeon. Or if you rather, take your left hip to the floor and bring your right knee to the side for deer. Your blocks can be in front of you. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, you can stay or perhaps allow yourself to surrender forward. Breathe. Couple more breaths here. If your mind wanders, it's okay. Bring it back. Come back to where you are right now. And then slowly bring yourself up if you went forward. Bring your left hip to the floor. Right leg comes all the way around. Extend your right leg as little or as much as you want. Left foot to your inner right thigh. And then frame your right leg with your blocks or your hands. Lengthen your spine. Reach your arms up. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, reach forward as little or as much as you want. You don't have to go very far. Inhale, come up. Exhale, reach forward and down. One more, breathe in. And as you breathe out this time, let yourself surrender and fold over the right leg. Seeing if you can bring yourself somewhere between too much effort and not enough, right? Just somewhere where you feel a sensation, but where you can still breathe deeply. One more breath here. And then your next in-breath, come back up. Draw your right knee in. Maybe you stay here with your heel on the ground and your spine long. You could even play with lifting and lowering the heel, right? You could rest the heel on your block or lift it by interlacing your hands under your right quad, or maybe slide the leg toward the calf, or eventually maybe you grab your foot. But again, one's not better than the other. One doesn't make you a better person than the other. Won't make your year better, right? So just go wherever works for you and breathe. One more breath, inhale. And on your exhalation, lower your foot. Bring both feet to the floor in front of you, parallel to one another, hips width apart, and then bring your hands behind you. You could face your fingertips toward your feet if your shoulders feel fairly open. Otherwise, dial them as far back as you want. And then press through your feet and through your hands. And on your inhalation, lift your hips off the floor if you want to. Lift your chest up. Maybe your gaze also lifts a little bit. And on your exhalation, lower all the way back down. Bring the soles of the feet toward each other. And you could bring them to touch. You could also keep them more separate. So it depends on kind of what sensation you want to find on your hips today. Feet could be further forward, closer toward your groins. Yeah, so just take a moment to notice what you would need here today or what you want. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, let yourself go forward. And again, if you have your blocks, it might be a cool place to pile them up so they're tall enough so where you can rest your forehead down. Just let yourself breathe. Is there any part of you right now that can soften? Is there any part of you right now that can be more present? One more breath here. And then slowly bringing yourself back up. Draw your knees gently toward one another. Give yourself a hug. Relax your head down. Sway side to side. Breathe in. And breathe out. Start to bring yourself to lie down on your back. And keep your props with you just in case you want to use them in a moment. And then give yourself a little hug so your knees can come straight to the center of the chest or maybe wider toward your shoulders. You could catch underneath the knees or over the shins. Just maybe move side to side. Perhaps you move your head slightly as well to massage the back of your skull. One more breath, inhale. And exhale. Stop the movement now. And then cross your right knee all the way over the left knee. You could hug right here and notice the sensation that brings toward the hips. You could even do it without the arms at all and just use the weight of your legs for sensation. Or if you want to increase the sensation, bring your hands to the shins or even to the feet and start to draw the feet out toward the sides. And again, it really depends on the length of your arms as well, right? If you can catch the shins or the ankles or the outsides of the feet. But see if you can keep your shoulders somewhat grounded and your arms relaxed. Breathe. One more breath, inhale. And on your exhalation, release. Keep your legs crossed or uncross them, whatever you want. Arms out to the side, inhale. Lift your hips off the floor and a little to the right. And then as you exhale, send your knees toward the left. Now, if your knees are floating here, that may mean that you're still going to create a lot of tension. So if you actually want to relax in the pose, consider grabbing one of your blocks Bringing it on the outside of the knee, or the inside of the knee rather, so that you can actually rest in the shape. Breathe deeply into your right lung. One more inhale and exhale. And then start to bring yourself back toward the midline. Uncross your knees here. And again, hug them toward your chest for a moment. Notice the length of your spine. Maybe move side to side. And then once you feel ready, now this time cross your left knee fully over your right. And maybe you stay here giving yourself a little hug. Or you can start to slide your hands down toward the shins or the ankles or the outsides of the feet. And your feet could stay close to your glutes or start to open out to the sides until you find the sensation that feels good for you. And breathe. Staying as present as you can. With how you feel physically. With how you feel energetically and mentally as well. One more breath here. Inhale. And then slowly release the feet. You can keep the knees crossed or uncross them. Open your arms wide. Shift your hips a little to the left. Inhale. And then on your exhalation, allow the knees to surrender toward the right. And maybe you take the block with you so that you can rest the inner left knee onto a surface. Allow your left shoulder to remain grounded. And soften into the twist. Two more breaths here. And then slowly starting to bring yourself back to center. And cross the knees. Give yourself a little hug if you want to. You can even lift your head up. And if you want to start something new this year that maybe you haven't done before, consider giving yourself a kiss. Maybe you kiss your knee or your arm or both. And if it feels super odd, you do it twice and you hug yourself tight and you say, I love you. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, you slowly bring yourself down. Maybe you let your entire body stretch out onto the ground. Consider bringing support underneath your knees or underneath your head. And just let yourself become comfortable in a lying down position. Of course, if lying down is not comfortable for you, you could also lie on the side. You could also sit up. But just bring yourself to a position where you can be just for a few moments, just for a few breaths, allowing your practice to integrate. Take a deep, deep breath in through your nose. Hold at the top. Take another sip. And let it go. If you have extra time today, I encourage you to lower the volume and stay in Shavasana for 5 more minutes or 10 more minutes. Otherwise, start to bring movement back into your body. Very gentle, very subtle. Maybe let yourself stretch out or yawn. Wiggling your fingers and your toes, moving your head. And eventually let yourself roll toward one side. And eventually bring yourself up to a seated position of your choice. You can sit however you want. Just make yourself comfy. Let your spine grow taller. Maybe allow your eyes to remain soft or closed if that serves you. And just take this moment to once again consider perhaps your intention of a fresh start. You maybe let yourself for a moment just envision something that you can start to do daily that can make you feel new, that can make you feel present, and can remind you that every moment, every breath is an opportunity to make a new choice that serves your values, your purpose, your intention, your goals. Take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. If it resonates with you, bring your palms together in front of your heart in Anjali Mudra, a gesture of union of yourself to yourself, of yourself to each other, of yourself to the universe. And with that, we'll seal this practice with one chant of Om. You can feel free to listen. You can feel free to join. Inhale. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace in your body, your mind, and your spirit in this new year. Be well, my friends. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the practice. Take a moment to find movement again.